So yeah, this just happened. We were exploring a karst spring system when this massive dead tree just came crashing down right in front of us. And that's not even the craziest thing that we filmed on this trip. I managed to film the critically endangered Betta simplex in full display during a territorial standoff. More on that later. Alright, so this is the start of a 3-part series exploring southern Thailand. This first episode is all about karst springs. Then we've got hill streams and lowland rivers coming up. These might be my best videos yet, so just wait. Oh, and really quick before we dive in, the 2026 calendar is now available. It's got some of my favorite shots from 2026, all in Thailand, all in the wild. And I've also got prints available from these karst springs and other habitats that we haven't explored yet. If you want to support the channel and get some of this underwater footage on your wall, links are in the description below. Alright, let's get back to it. Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna stop in many different places, check different rivers, waterfalls, streams, and this is our first stop. So we started at this waterfall on the way down south, and look, it was beautiful, but I'm gonna keep this one short because honestly, the fish situation here was just kind of depressing. The whole place is absolutely packed with guppies. People started introducing them all over the tropics to eat mosquito larvae. At the time, it seemed like a brilliant idea, except in reality, they have disrupted native fish communities. But anyways, let's head south because it gets way better from here. Okay, so this is the first proper stop of this expedition, and you can actually rent kayaks here to explore, which we did. We started by exploring this area that's basically a swamp, and almost immediately this happened. Oh my god, we just heard some noises. We thought it was maybe like some primates on the trees, some monkeys. No, the whole tree, massive tree, just fell in the water. Well, nature decided to remind us who's in charge. And yeah, I didn't feel safe, so we decided to turn back, which brought us to the main pool area of this spring. Now look, I know this is gonna bother some of you. They turned this place into basically a swimming pool. Part of me hates seeing wild places change like this, but if you think about it, this tourism brings in money, provides jobs for local people, and that gives them a reason to protect this spring, instead of, cutting all the forest down for another palm oil or rubber plantation. It's not ideal, but the alternative is often worse. Okay, let's talk about the fish in here. First, these spanner barbs. So spanner barbs are super common in this region, and we are gonna see them in basically every habitat today. But these ones, just look at this guy. Look at the size of him. I've never seen spanner barbs this big anywhere else. I think what's happening here is that these are just really old individuals. This stable spring with constant clean fresh water flowing from the ground and no fishing allowed probably allows them to live much longer. In captivity, they have been reported to live close to 10 years. There's also thousands of both queen and blue danios swimming together in these mixed schools. When you see them side by side, the difference is really obvious. The blue danio is way more colorful and smaller, but otherwise they look very similar. There's fully aquatic moss growing on all the rocks, and I'm not sure what species it is, but it looks a lot like Java moss. And there's also a ton of beardless barbs just cleaning up the algae and biofilm from the rocks. Here I also found some forest snakeheads with fry. I wasn't able to get close enough to them, but still got a few shots. The good news from this place is that I found no invasive fish in here. The bad news is there are some invasive plants like these echinodoras from South America, and if I'm not mistaken, this is an ornamental cypress species, probably introduced. Between the plants in the margins I also found these bright orange freshwater crabs. Honestly, I will leave their scientific name on the screen because I can't pronounce it at all, and there's basically nothing about them online. No common name, barely any research, if their populations are declining or stable, nothing, or at least I couldn't find it. So, any suggestions for a common name? Drop them in the comments. Okay, the first place was amazing, but now let's move on to the next spring, which is one of my favorites. I've been here before, but the conditions were terrible. Check out this old footage. After heavy rain, it was all muddy. But today, perfect. Crystal clear, barely anyone here. So this spring has a lot more biodiversity, and you can actually see different ecosystems throughout the water column. So at the water surface we've got these Indo-Chinese needlefish. These guys are basically shaped like arrows. Their bodies are super compressed, so when you look at them from the front they are almost invisible. They're actually very well camouflaged. They look out for smaller fish below them, and when they strike they're very fast and very precise, and once they have their prey they're not going away. One really cool thing that I observed about these needlefish is that they seem to hunt in loose groups, kind of driving the prey towards each other. Now the coolest find here was the kissing gourami. This fish is very rarely seen, and I never seen any photos or videos of them in the wild. This one was massive as well. I also got some really good footage of the dwarf tiger barbs, Pontigurus partipentazona. If you are into fish keeping, you have definitely heard about the tiger barbs, Pontigurus tetrazona. These dwarf ones are the same genus and they look almost the same, but they are smaller. In the wild, they always stick to areas with very dense aquatic vegetation. Here there was also loads of these tiny Orychtes parvas. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. The males have this really beautiful coloration, and honestly, I'm surprised they are not more popular. I noticed that there was usually a very colorful male in a group of very pale fish, probably the dominant one. At one point, this male Orychtes parvas locked onto a female and he just would not leave her alone. Brighter colors, circling her over the plants. I can't say for sure, but it really looked like courtship behavior. Now, do you see these juvenile fish mixed with the parvas? I'm not sure what they are. It could be a young rhombic barb or even a bony-lipped barb. These smaller rasboras are Rasbora trilineata or scissor-tail rasboras. They are a silver fish with a black and white forked tail, and when they move, the tail literally opens and closes like a pair of scissors, which obviously is where their name comes from. Here there was plenty of forest snakeheads, Chana lucius. They are the classic forest stream predator in this region. They use the submerged wood and vegetation as camouflage, and then they wait for smaller fish to wander too close, and then they very quickly snatch them. And then you have another predator, the impala barbs. They are not your typical peaceful barb. These ones are actually really fierce predators. They can reach 60 centimeters, and here I saw them going after the smaller tiger barbs and rasboras. There was also this huge tilapia, the largest one I've ever seen. You could literally see it from the sky. See? I wasn't joking. Now, these plants that you are seeing in this place, they are very beautiful, but unfortunately they are also invasive. This is kabomba from the Americas, which is very similar to limnophila, which is a native plant. I suppose someone introduced them here, and yeah, they look amazing, but it's just a shame that they didn't use a native species. Once aquarium plants get into the wild, it's pretty hard getting rid of them. So if you're disposing of any aquarium plants, be really mindful on how you dispose them. The rhombic barbs here are on another level. I've never seen them this big anywhere else. As they grow older, the pattern starts to fade and they turn into this chunky, almost goldfish-looking fish. They graze algae and biofilm all day long. They are basically like little underwater cows. Here you can actually see the spring working. The water is literally oozing up from the sand, bubbling up. It almost looks like the water is boiling. And for anyone who's thinking about keeping some of these species in your aquariums, here are the parameters for this location. I'm at the third location and it's gorgeous. I don't see any fish in here, but it's so clear. Let me show you. Words cannot describe how clear and beautiful this is. This is where I found Lobocheilus melanotania for the first time. They are not really rare, but they are really picky about habitat conditions. They fit a very specific niche, so I haven't seen them at all. In the margins I also found this submerged plant. It looks a lot like Cryptocoryne albida. I don't really know for sure, so if any botanists are watching this video, please let me know in the comments. We are back at the Betta simplex habitat, this very deep lake over 200 meters deep, and hopefully the Betta simplex is still around and you'll find loads of them. I can see there's a few differences from last time. Last time there was loads of plants. I cannot see them now, and it seems that they have added some gravel and things to make it more, I don't know, touristy. Let's have a look and hopefully we get some great shots. So I filmed this habitat before on this channel, and this is where you can find the critically endangered Betta simplex. This is a super localized species, incredibly shy and difficult to film. It's only known from this spring system and another one further north, although some argue that the second one might be a different species. I decided to come back because, well, this place is amazing, but also because the footage I got last time was, well, it was fine, but I didn't really show any of their interesting behaviors. But today, I still can't believe what I managed to film. Not only did we get these brilliantly colored males in full display, we caught what looks like actual courtship behavior with the female. For a while, this male was trying to attract this female. I followed them for a while until they disappeared into the tree roots. This species likes to hide in shaded areas between roots or marginal plants. It makes it very difficult to film because there really isn't a lot of light available there, and the little light that's left is completely blue. I kept looking around for more Betta simplex, and then I spotted two males having a proper territorial standoff right in front of me. Like fully extended fins, full aggressive display, the whole thing. I quickly scrambled to set up my focus and other settings. Honestly, it was so intense. I knew I had to get this shot. A lot of it was completely out of focus, but I think it's still pretty cool. Now, for those who aren't familiar, these aren't the Bettas you see in pet stores. Those are Bettas splendens. Those were bred for centuries for those crazy long, colorful fins. Betta simplex is a close relative from the same genus, but it's a wild fish completely unmodified, and it evolved to fit this niche and one or two other cast springs and nowhere else as far as we know. Unlike the Betta splendens, which build incredible bubble nests, these are mouth brooders. That means that the male has to carry the eggs in his mouth until the fry hatch and become free swimming. The males will go without food for the entire incubation period, which can last from 9 to 16 days. It was a little sad though. A lot of the plants I documented last time are gone. And because there were no plants, I couldn't find any dwarf tiger barbs up here. But it was good to see that Cryptocorin cordata, var siamensis, and the Java ferns are still here. Okay, I see that at the main pond that I showed you last time, there's a few changes. The plants seem to have been removed. They added some gravel, and that got me very worried at first. But after snorkeling, I can see there's still a lot of Betta simplex left in this habitat. And actually, one of the staff brought us over to another pond, which is a bit of a secret. And apparently, there's I think 9 to 11 ponds in the area, all of which I believe have Betta simplex. So even though that main one is being altered, there's still plenty of habitat. But it's still very fragile because it's only one location. If something goes wrong with this one location, then this species could be gone forever. So it's definitely important to protect this ecosystem. And I see that the staff do really care about these species as well. They asked us what we were doing and sort of looked after us to make sure we're not doing something we shouldn't. And that's very good. It's good to see that something is being done to protect these beautiful species. At the very top of the water column, you have Aplocheilus armatus, a killifish that patrols the surface picking off insects that land on the water. They are basically the local natural mosquito control, doing the job people try to outsource to guppies. And next to them there was another great mosquito control species, the dwarf alfbeaks. What's really special about these alfbeaks is that they are live bearers, just like guppies actually. And they have this ridiculous overlong lower jaw. They cruise right under the surface like tiny freshwater gar or like the Indo-Chinese needlefish that we saw. And then, down in the shadows, you sometimes see a fish that looks exactly like a dead leaf. That's Nando's nebulosus, the Bornean leaf fish. And for anyone who's thinking about keeping some of these species in your aquariums, here are the parameters for these locations. So that blue spring with Betta simplex is the start of a very cool river. As you start going downstream, the species diversity just explodes. Downstream I still found Betta simplex, which was really wild to me because the water here is moving much faster. Here I saw a lot of Queen Danios, Divario regina. They are fast water specialists that just lock into the fast current like tiny trout. Look, this one was missing an eye, but it was still keeping up with the others. And because it couldn't see anything from this side, I was able to get very close. Then you have the half-banded spiny eels that do almost the opposite. They spend a lot of time buried in the sand or wedged between stones and roots with just the head showing. They are not really eels, but they are more like eel-shaped fish. On the deeper water, you'll find bony lip barbs. Cruising slowly and grazing along the bottom, they scrape algae and biofilm of rocks and wood. These shrimp were also everywhere. I'm not sure what they are. Please someone let me know down in the comments. Then on the rocks you have got assassin type snails. These snails are basically snail predators. They hunt for other snails, drill into them and eat them from the inside. The Bornean leaf fish. I don't really like the common name Bornean leaf fish because we are very far from Borneo. It just hangs there motionless, using that leaf camouflage to ambush small fish and crustaceans that wander too close. One gulp and they are gone. So we kept following this stream down in a kayak and eventually we hit an area where the forest has been cleared. It's just rubber and palm plantations as far as you can see. Without the canopy from the forest, the whole stream changes. The full sun means plants like limnophila and hydrilla just explode, creating a perfect spawning habitat for many fish species. Limnophila sessiliflora, like I said earlier, looks a lot like a bomba, but this one is actually native to Southeast Asia. This is actually where we found the dwarf tiger barbs again. They need this dense vegetation to thrive. Even further down, I found Hygrophila corymbosa var siamensis and a different type of shrimp. I think this plant used to be very common in the aquarium trade, but I don't really see it nowadays. By the way, if you are enjoying this footage, this is a reminder that the 2026 calendar and prints are still available. The link is in the description. Your support is the only reason why I'm able to keep making these videos. Alright, so this is the last location for this episode. So this spring was actually featured in the latest Jurassic World movie. And since then, tourism has absolutely exploded here. The kayak rental price has even doubled since I last came here. A long time ago, they built a weir in this river, which ended up flooding the forest, and what's left is rotten tree trunks sticking out of the water. The most obvious problem here is the tilapia. These are invasive and very detrimental to these ecosystems. They prevent native species from breeding successfully. They can produce over 1,000 eggs every few weeks. They are reproductive machines, and there simply aren't enough predators here to control them. The bottom has this really thick layer of mulm, and I think the tilapia are partly responsible for that. Their feeding behavior is basically like constantly plowing a field. They pick up mouthfuls of substrate and then spit it back out. And there are still a few plants hanging on, little tufts of Heliocaris. They are basically the last proper aquatic plants you will find in the open areas. Under one of the many piers for the kayaks, deeper in the shadows, there's knife fish gliding between the stumps. This is Shitala lopes. These fish are very unusual. They swim in a very different way, kind of like a ribbon floating along the water, which is able to hover around and even reverse. Out in the deeper sections and in open waters, we've got really big and nervous mixed shoals of tinfoil barbs, hampala barbs, and beardless barbs. If you look carefully at the mulm, you can see these really fine branching green threads poking out. I think this is probably Nitella, a type of charophyte algae. Okay, so then we got on the kayak and started heading towards the spring. As you get closer to the spring, things get a lot better. More plants, the water clears up, you start to see Cryptocorin cordata, and the canopy starts to close in over the river. And then we reached the actual spring. This is a no-swim zone that stayed relatively pristine. Deep blue water rising from somewhere deep in the limestone. This spring has loads of no-swimming signs, and honestly that's probably the only reason why it still looks like this. This is as close as we can get to seeing what these karst springs might have looked like before all the weirs, kayaks, movies, and tilapia. So that's the karst springs of southern Thailand. Every single one of them tells a slightly different version of the same story. Incredible biodiversity and increasing pressure from invasive species, development and tourism. Next episode we are heading into hill streams where the physics of water completely changes everything. Fish with suction cups, flattened bodies built for currents so strong you can't even stand up in them. It's gonna be really good. Thanks for watching. If you spotted species I missed or if you can ID those I wasn't able to, please drop a comment below. I'll see you on the next one.